A special thanks goes out to Thief in the Night, who submitted an article entitled, quote, "I dated 5 men at once, and here's what I learned about modern romance." It was published on thoughtcatalog.com and was written by Catalina Lolita, which I'm pretty sure is just a pen name, because I couldn't find anything on her but a racy profile picture on her Thought Catalog profile with the caption, "Wild women are the most dangerous." So just her name, her profile picture, and that caption tells us all we need to know about Miss Lolita. Anyway, she dated 5 men at the same time, and apparently she learned a few things and decided to write an article about it, so let's dive right in here. She says, quote, "When I was in my early 20s, I did something I had never done before. Date more than one guy at a time." So right off the bat, she is already telling us a flat-out lie. But before I get into that, I'd like to quickly remind you that Womanese Volume 2 will be released on July 31st. Womanese Volume 2 will help you decode what women are really saying when they communicate with you. Everything from what a woman's true motivations are when they ask you first questions on a date, to the things they say early on that set up future cheating, to the things they tell you that show she has a promiscuous past. Womanese Volume 2 will help you crack the female code and prevent you from being taken advantage of by women. You'll learn how to instantly recognize when women are lying to you, giving you clues that tell you she's stepping out on you or about to step out on you. The course will also have a congruency test compendium, also known as an S-test, that will teach you how to handle the curveball question women throw at you when you're chatting them up. Over 175 words and phrases will be translated in this course. And remember, if you purchase Womanese Volume 2, you get Womanese 101 absolutely free and Womanese Volume 3 at no additional charge when it drops on Black Friday. Plus, you get lifetime access to my Sunday webinars where I do coaching and consultations. Remember, space is limited, so if you want to be notified when the course is released, text DON, that's Don, to 474747. Okay, let's get back to this girl's ridiculous lies. And by the way, you guys are going to quickly find out that this chick lies at just about every paragraph in this article. Ain't no way a female in her early 20s in this day and age has never dated more than one guy at a time. Not only do girls get sausage thrown at them all day long, which gives them both the option and the temptation to date multiple guys at once, they are encouraged to do it. At every turn, women are told that they need to keep their options open, which really means sleep around. And by the way, women use so many different terms to define sleeping around to avoid calling it what it actually is, which is sleeping around. They like to call it keeping their options open. Melanie Kernodle over at bold.com said, quote, "I gave my attention to other guys who wanted me." Girls never call it sleeping around because they know it's not good for them, and they know that it puts them into a category of a banana gobbler. So when a female says she dates around or dates multiple guys, what she is really saying is that she is sleeping around. They dress it up and make it sound less like hooking up, and everybody wants to save face. Katerina can call this whatever she wants. She is sleeping around, and telling us that this is the first time she's done it does not fool anybody here. And the fact that Katerina wants us to believe that she's never done this before is ridiculous. Even the women who read this article knows this isn't the first time she has allowed herself to be passed around. She continues, "It all started when I discovered that a film director I had been dating multiple women while I was only dating him. He claimed it was due to insecurity, said that he felt I was out of his league, and told me that he assumed he wouldn't have gone far with me without having some backup options. From then on," she says, "I realized no one was going to protect me or my feelings in the dating world, and that exclusivity should never be assumed." More lies, guys. Men with options would never, ever tell any one of the women he's sleeping with that they're out of his league. Are you kidding me with this? We're not even past the first paragraph, and this chick has already told us 2 blatant lies. She's not even being clever about it. She is just saying things and expecting us to believe it just because she said it. And any man with even a limited working knowledge of a woman's true nature knows that women in their early 20s are always sleeping around, and that the men who sleep with them don't tell them that they're insecure or that they're out of his league. Get out of here with this. She continues, "So I decided to conduct my own experiments in dating multiple guys at once without sleeping with them unless a man and I became exclusive, and he was the only one I ended up dating. Unlike that film director who did sleep with the women he dated even before they were exclusive, I wanted to date with more integrity and transparency, but I also wanted to explore my options and know what it was like." Are you for real with this? And listen, guys, I gotta be honest with you. When I got to this part of the article, I almost just said, forget it. This chick is being so dishonest, it's useless to even break this down. But the fact that she is being so overtly dishonest is indicative of today's women. And men run into females who lie about the things that Miss Lolita is lying about in this article all the time. So let me pick my jaw up off the floor and break this down. First off, she's skirting accountability for a decision she made unilaterally. We already know this isn't the first time she's decided to sleep around, but she would have us believe that it all started when she figured out that she wasn't the only starlet who slept her way into a role. She made this decision a long time ago, and it had nothing to do with her discovering she was in a director's harem. She made this decision of her own free will and volition and wasn't influenced by anything but her banana gobbling nature, feminism, and Tinder. Secondly, expecting us to believe that she wasn't sleeping with all 5 of these guys just goes to show that women think that they could just make up whatever they want and people will just believe it. And the reason why is because men actually believe this stuff. Men who are still clueless don't realize that they've been programmed to believe whatever a female says just because she said it. This is why we get articles and videos just like this. Women who claim to have a notch count of 3 or claim to be virgins expect to be taken at their word because most men, indeed, take her at her word. When Katarina said that she was going to do this without sleeping with them unless they became exclusive, she's utilizing a technique that banana gobblers use to make men think that she is a woman who doesn't sleep around. This is the, quote, I don't sleep with a man unless we're in a relationship trick, and it's been used on me more than once. So here's lesson number 1. If a woman tells you she never has bedroom fun with a guy unless she's in a relationship, she doesn't want you. Now, that doesn't mean she won't sleep with you. Women sleep with men they're not attracted to all the time. Well, why would they do that, Donovan? Simple. To get something in return. You think escorts are attracted to all of their clients? Of course not. But they go to bed with them anyway because they're getting something in return, which is money. You think adult film actresses are attracted to every one of the guys they do scenes with? No, but they do the scene anyway because it's their job, which pays her money. Something she gets in return. When a woman tells a man she doesn't sleep with a guy unless she's in a relationship, it means that she isn't attracted to him enough to sleep with him without him giving up something up front, which leads me to number 2. Biblical relations are not important to women. Women can get all the sausage they want anytime, guys. All she has to be is there, and she can have as many bananas, cucumbers, eggplants, and sausage she wants. Now, this doesn't mean they don't like hooking up because they certainly do. But because it's so readily available to them all the time, sausage really isn't important to them. This is the law of supply and demand in action. But women know that bedroom fun is important to men, which is why they price gouge men they're not turned on by who also don't realize that they can probably get some action from her for next to nothing. So when a woman meets a man who exhibits thirst, she will pretend that intimacy is extremely valuable to her to give him the impression that she is a good girl, which makes her all the more valuable to him, which compels him to pay more because she makes him think she's worth more. Women are used car salesmen, guys. They make men think that a 92 Accord with 371,000 miles on it is a 2021 Lamborghini Aventador. And because men don't regularly check the Carfax, they end up committing to, buying gifts for, and paying the bills for female who are giving what these men paid sticker for to other men for free. Females don't value their bodies, guys. Do not let them fool you into thinking they're worth any more than a one-night stand. And here's another thing. Women never date with integrity and transparency. They don't know how, nor are they interested in learning how. Let's continue. Here's what these experiences taught me, she says. Number 1, dating like a man was at first admittedly a high. It taught me how much fun men were having and were allowed to have without judgment in our society. I remember being at work and texting several of these guys at once within the same hour. It was addictive, she says. There was never any shortage of witty banter, flirty interactions, or fun dates during those months. I was on a perpetual roller coaster of highs and lows, not knowing what would happen next. It was unpredictable, and it was a much-needed break from my routine life of work and school. I would go on multiple dates a week to sexy speakeasies, cool bars, clubs, and restaurants. I danced, I drank, I laughed, I enjoyed myself. Every night was an adventure, and each first kiss or hookup was electrifying. Gotcha! She just told on herself, guys. She almost got away with it, but she outed herself when she said, hook up.
Well, hookup doesn't mean going all the way, you misogynistic loser.
Oh, but it does, sweet cheeks, especially when it's preceded by the phrase, first kiss. If she was just kissing these guys, she'd have just left it at that. But when she added hookup, she gave herself away. What else could a hookup mean other than having intercourse? Now, we already knew she was sleeping with these guys, right? We knew that she was getting naked with these men. Whether she let it slip or not, nobody needed to tell us that she was hooking up with all of these men. But like I always say, if you let a female talk long enough, they will always tell on themselves. It may not happen today. It may not happen tomorrow. It may not even happen next month. But eventually, the truth will come out. And if you are paying attention, instead of sleepwalking through your interactions with women, like most men do, you'll pick up on the breadcrumbs she leaves along the way. Well, Miss Lolita is clearly still very young, because it took her only 3 paragraphs to slip up and tell us what she does her level best to deny from the jump. She will get much better at this when she gets older, which is why you should always be wary of what older women tell you in the first place. But her inexperience in the art of virtue signaling and trying to come off as a unicorn has foiled her plan to make us think that she was crossing her legs with all these men. And by the way, the fact that she put without before sleeping with them was a dead giveaway that she was lying. Kind of like when a woman says she's happily married. I'll admit it, she continues, it was great. That summer, I got to try out each type of man that I enjoyed, whether it was the intellectual who playfully sparred with me, the bad boy who challenged me, the successful CEO who taught me important tips about starting my own business, the delicious bodybuilder who was fun to cuddle with in bed, the software engineer who took me to comedy shows, or the interesting hybrid of all 4. I felt on top of the world. I had my fun, she says, without stepping over the line to having actual intimacy. Having multiple dates with each person allowed me to get to know their personality without fast-forwarding the physical process. Then it occurred to me that most men probably do sleep with the multiple women they see, and they don't have a problem with it. Isn't that how many men in our society have been dating all along? While a woman is pining away for relationship status or text back, there are plenty of men who date just like this without qualms or obligations. I love how she tries to insinuate that she is a high-value female by telling us that her roster was nothing but apex alpha males. The intellectual, the successful CEO, the bodybuilder, the software engineer, and then, of course, the male version of a unicorn hybrid, which she wants us to think is a man with the genius of Tony Stark, the build of Captain America, the looks of Thor, who's also as strong as the Hulk. But of course, she never slept with that guy. Of course not. Even if she were telling the truth about who and what these guys were, that doesn't make her a high-value female, which leads me to lesson number 3. And this one's for the ladies. Sleeping with one high-value male gives you more value than sleeping with more than one. Ladies, I say this all the time. The dating market attraction, it's not symmetrical. You get turned on when men sleep with multiple women, but men are repulsed when you sleep with multiple men. Stop thinking that acting like men makes you more attractive to men. It doesn't work that way. This is why you were born a woman, to attract a man by acting like a woman. Sleeping with 5 high-value men doesn't make you a high-value woman. It makes you an escort, which is a nice way of saying a working girl, and those are not high value at all. Then she trips up 2 more times by reminding us again that she's not sleeping with these guys, which we know means she absolutely was, and putting herself at the scene of the crime. Well, what are you talking about, Donovan? Is that a serious question? Do you forget when this chick admitted being in bed with what she describes as a delicious bodybuilder and wants us to think they just cuddled? Even though that guy is taking performance-enhancing drugs, which means his testosterone levels are through the roof, which means he's ready for action anytime, and she wants us to believe that not only did he not try anything, she wants us to think that if he did, that she had the willpower to just keep it to cuddling? Even though women are impulsive, hyper-promiscuous, and sleep with muscular guys all the time, get out of here with that. That's nonsense. He plowed this chick so hard she couldn't do anything but lay there. And because he laid next to her trying to catch his breath, she called it cuddling. Then right at the end here, she starts setting herself up to coalesce men and women in order to justify getting passed around. Girls do this all the time, guys. They like to say, well, if men can sleep with multiple women, then why can't women do the same? Well, women do the same. They just get shamed for it because men and women know that women who sleep around are doing what's easy. Even Katerina knows that it's easy for women to sleep around and it's hard for men to do the same. But she's pretending to be curious about how men have been dating all along, when in actuality, it is the women who sleep around most of the time and the men who want commitment. If she wants to sleep around, she should just say so. But she can't even do that. Otherwise, she'll actually have to take full responsibility for her decision to sleep around, which completely eliminates her ability to say, I did it because men do it too. Dating like a man placed me back in control, she says, of doing the choosing rather than waiting to be chosen. I understand why society has such a resistant attitude towards women dating multiple men. It's because it's afraid of the power it gives us. If women dated like men did, it would place them back in the driver's seat. They would know which man was treating them well and which man wasn't in a heartbeat just by comparison. She continues, and if they knew they had options, they would be able to drop the men who weren't treating them well with that much more confidence. Now, she's 5% right, but 95% wrong, and I'll tell you why. Miss Lolita's right. We are afraid of the power that dating multiple men gives women. Look around us, guys. Relationships are in the toilet. Marriages are a joke. The dating market is a crap show. Why? Because women hold all the cards in most relationships. The dating market has been completely deregulated, and this has given women full control. The dating market is the perfect example of what happens to anything when it is completely run by females. Yes, women are in the driver's seat, and they're running the dating market off the road. Paternity fraud, child support, no-fault divorce, cheating, lying, abortions, STDs, no respect for men, no respect for male commitment. The list goes on and on, guys. She says if they knew they had options, they'd be able to drop the men who weren't treating them well with that much more confidence. And this, gentleman, is where she is 95% wrong. You, Miss Lolita, even though you have the ability to drop the men who aren't treating you well, you don't do that. The men who treat you the best are the men you drop. Men who treat you like a lady get cheated on. Men who show you respect get shown disrespect. But the men who lie to you, cheat on you, sleep with your friends, physically abuse you, impregnate other women behind your back, drink, do drugs, and steal your money, those guys get your undying loyalty. Those men, they get your best. The fact that females are now aware of their options has caused them to make terrible decisions with men, and everybody suffers because of it. So yeah, we are afraid of the power it gives you because women are ill-equipped to be responsible for anything, much less the dating market. Females have absolutely destroyed relationships on every level. This is what happens when women get power. They destroy things, including themselves. She continues, yet as women we are taught to wait. Wait for the phone call. Wait for the text back. Wait for the guy to make the first move or to call us his girlfriend. We are always perpetually waiting while they are out living. In my opinion, she says, every woman should try dating like a man at least once in their lives to get a taste of the freedom and excitement that have always been accessible to men. Every woman should know what it's like to stop waiting, especially women like myself who's always restricted themselves to a very rigid view of monogamy even before becoming exclusive. This chick needs to quit acting like she's this innocent Amish girl who was raised on the farm who just moved into the big city. She's trying to convince us that she's never slept around and that she's been taught to wait for a man to make the first move. She's trying to come off as this innocent little inexperienced girl who's just discovered that she can sleep around. But somehow she was able to date 5 of the Avengers. She wants us to think that she's a Madonna who magically figured out how to date 5 guys at once overnight. It's like the girl who says, I've never done this before, but somehow she knows how to make your toes curl and make your eyes roll to the back of your head at the same time. Women are attracted to men who are experienced and seasoned. They get this way by living. They travel the world. They sleep with beautiful women. They build companies. They build businesses. They have unforgettable experiences. These are the kinds of men women want. But the reason women should be taught to wait for the phone call or the text is because these experienced men are not attracted to women who act like they do. They're attracted to the women who sit at home and wait for the call or text. Ladies, there's nothing wrong with having fun and living. There's nothing wrong with having adventure. But those adventures are supposed to be had with one man and one man only. Men of value, they don't commit to free spirits. High-quality men don't make spontaneous women their wives and girlfriends. Now, they'll certainly sleep with them from time to time, but they commit to the girls who dedicate making themselves into the best options for men of value, which means staying in shape, not sleeping around, and learning domestic skills. And you want to know where that's done? At home, waiting. And if you are in shape, not a banana gobbler, are pleasant, obedient, and selfless, trust me when I tell you, the men you want will find you. You can have your adventures, ladies. You can be out there living. But if you want to lock down a quality man, you need to wait for him to find you. This is why females were taught to wait. But we all know that you weren't. So again, quit with this whole innocent little Amish girl act. Nobody's buying it. Number 2, she continues, dating like a man while you're a woman leaves you vulnerable to scrutiny because of the unfair double standards involved. Since women are stereotyped as those who want that ultimate relationship, even the most emotionally unavailable of these men seemed to be disturbed by the fact that I was exploring my options. I was S-shamed in countless ways and judged for doing something men had been doing for most of their lives. Can you imagine my disbelief when I discovered that even the men who professed they didn't want a serious relationship found it unnerving that I was dating other men, even though I wasn't even sleeping with them? It was a baffling double standard, she says. Even though they had been the ones to say they weren't looking for anything serious, they seemed taken aback when I replied, "Neither am I," which eventually led to a few cringeworthy discussions about the number of guys I was seeing. I came to recognize that being a woman meant that I was cast as either the Madonna or the W word if I didn't fit into any of their cookie-cutter expectations of me. Women are acting like they are so scandalized that men expect women to be women. They act like it's some huge shock that men of value expect them to act like actual women. But here's the thing. 99.9% of hookup shaming comes from women. Dudes don't shame women for being banana gobblers anymore because if we do, we're fired from jobs. We're called names. Katarina wasn't shamed by these men. These men merely expressed to her what every man thinks, which is disgust when they find out she's sleeping around. Then she gets all hyperbolic with, "Can you imagine my disbelief?" Sweetie, you know men and women are different, and you know they know men and women are different. Men who sleep around are not the same as women who sleep around, and you know it. Acting like you don't doesn't mean that people won't hold you accountable for sleeping around, including the men you are sleeping with. Men don't respect women who get passed around, and women don't respect men who have no bedroom experience with women. This baffling double standard is Mother Nature, ladies. This isn't a social construct. This is biology. Calling their expectations cookie cutter doesn't make their expectations any less valid. These expectations are rigid for a reason, and that reason is that it's in everyone's hard drive. This is why women want men who are experienced and men want women who are inexperienced. The only reason men end up marrying banana gobblers is because there are more high-value men than virginal women. Quality men don't want to commit to women who sleep around, and that's all there is to it. And acting shocked that they wanted nothing to do with you outside of fooling around when they found out you were sharing your body with other men is disingenuous and transparent. Again, stop it with the Amish girl routine. Stop acting like you're little innocent Mia Miller. We all know you're probably a lot closer to Mia Khalifa. She continues. Number 3, even though I thought I was being transparent and honest, the very act of seeing multiple people created as much chaos as it did excitement. Although I didn't need to share what I was doing because I felt empathy for the men I was dating, I wanted to be honest with them if they did ask or if the conversation turned to the topic. Unfortunately, that honesty backfired. A few of them, she says, went on complete ego trip when they discovered I was going on dates with other people. One of them even claimed, "I'll bet I'm the most attractive and smartest one out of all of them," defensively. Oh, get out of here with that. So you mean to tell me that a CEO said, "I'll bet I'm the most attractive and smartest out of all of them"? A bodybuilder said this? This is why we know she's being dishonest. High-value men don't have to tell a woman what his attributes are. He just lives his life and those attributes are evident. Those guys don't explicate. They demonstrate, just like Rollo Tomassi says. High-value men don't seek validation or get verbally defensive. So she's either lying about what these guys are acting like and saying, or she's lying about the kind of men she was sleeping with. Because this doesn't add up, and I'm going with option A. The CEO is probably a dude who started a car detailing business 3 days ago and calls himself CEO because it makes girls think he has a lot of money. The bodybuilder is probably a gym bro who's nothing more than a performance-enhancing drug dealer. The software engineer is probably a dude who creates homemade video games between 18-hour sessions in his mom's basement playing Call of Duty tournaments. This woman is making it so obvious that she's lying that her stories aren't even coming close to adding up. Men and women who know how things really work know that men with options don't get all huffy when they find out one of the girls in their harems has other dudes she's sleeping with. They simply keep her in the rotation and never elevate her past a friend with benefits, not bellyache about the other guy she's sleeping with. It reminded me, she continues, of how often women are pulled into competing for a man, and yet many men can't handle it when they are the ones perceived to be competing for a woman. Yes, Miss Lolita, because that's what makes the dating market work. You see, when men compete for a woman, she doesn't know how to act. She gets promiscuous, neurotic, selfish, and overconfident. And because she has options, she doesn't feel the need to improve herself. This is exactly why 2 out of every 3 females are overweight, but they all still sleep around. If they're getting attention and sausage from multiple men, regardless of their value, they don't do anything to improve themselves. But when you swap the genders, that's where women really shine. You see, when women compete for men, they stay in shape. When women compete for men, they stay pleasant. When women compete for men, they become feminine. They have every reason in the world to improve themselves because the man they're competing for has options, and they want that man to select her.
Well, if a man has options, then he'll get fat and lazy too. If a man has women competing for him, they don't feel the need to improve themselves either.
Newsflash. Women don't compete for fat and lazy guys. They don't compete for men who aren't always looking to improve themselves. So if there are women watching who think that men will become as horrible as women when they have women competing for them, think again. Because men like this aren't the kind of men women compete for. Women don't want men who lose their edge. They don't want men who rest on their laurels and put it in cruise control. Men and women are different, ladies, no matter how much you want us to be. You can take any situation in the dating market and you will find that you cannot apply the same standard to men as you do with women. I was also losing touch with who I was, she continued, and questioning what this meant about my own character. I had a few days where I double booked dates on the same day or ended up responding to a text from a guy while I was on a date with another man. What was an exciting experiment also became cause for internal conflict and self-doubt. Was I immoral? Heartless? An S-word? Emotionally unavailable? Did it even matter? Why should I even care? I'll tell you why you should care. Because the men you want, Miss Lolita, do not want immoral, heartless, emotionally unavailable banana gobblers. That's why. Those things do matter to the men you want. They do care that you're responding to texts from other men while on a date with them. And again, the fact that these men tolerate this behavior tells us once again that she is lying about the quality of men she was sleeping with. Because once again, men with options don't tolerate a female who disrespects him or his time by being on her phone when they're on a date with them. It doesn't matter what she's doing on her phone, texting, Instagramming, Facebook, doesn't matter. Men like the one she claimed to be seeing wouldn't tolerate this kind of disrespect even if she was texting her mother. A man's time is extremely valuable to him, and if a female disrespects that time, she's out, period. So here's another lesson for the ladies. If you're on a date with a guy who's worth a damn, put away your phone. Put it in airplane mode, turn it off, leave it in the car. Do whatever you have to do to make sure he knows that you respect his time. Now, don't get me wrong here, ladies. If you're out with a typical beta boy schlub who claims he wants a strong and independent woman who worships his mother and anything else with 2 X chromosomes, by all means, text away. You're not going to sleep with him anyway, so that doesn't matter. But if you were the man in demand, a man you actually like and could see yourself with, I'm sure you could live without looking at your phone for a couple of hours because I'm here to tell you, men with options don't commit to females who disrespect them or their time by being on their phones when they're out with them. Now, don't get it twisted. These men will sleep with you. They'll blow your back out, please believe. But do not act surprised when he kicks you out before you get a chance to fix your hair. I knew I was just doing exactly what men had been doing for years, yet I had been conditioned to feel ashamed about owning my freedom and sensuality. The way men have been doing for decades. Dating multiple men was a thrill, but at the end of the day, it was admittedly exhausting. It increased the potential for getting my heart broken, and it created a lot of drama that didn't need to be there. She continues, although I did end up dating a second round of more men at once later on, I also eventually realized that dating one man at a time was more suitable for my personal style. That doesn't mean I would never do it again. It was an important part of my journey and crucial to my self-discovery. Let's face it, if you're not exploring new things in your early 20s, you're not living. That being said, she concludes, dating multiple men at once did teach me a lot about the double standards that women face in our society, and about the ways in which modern romance could stand to evolve, especially in the ways in which the dating world treats women and what it expects of them. So she learns that Mother Nature dictates the objectives of the dating market, but she still calls it a double standard. She was told by every man she dated that they wouldn't commit because they found out she was sleeping with other men, but she says this isn't the last time she's going to do it. This is why women are the way they are, guys. Despite the fact that the truth stares them right in the face, day after day, they continue to listen and believe television and movies instead of realizing that the men she was sleeping with told her in no uncertain terms that women should not be dating like men. You would think these women are trying to date television, movies, and social media because they're taking their cues from these things instead of from the men they want to be with. Every so often, a woman dates a man of quality and he lets her know that if she's dating around, then he's not committing. But instead of listening to the men they want to be with, they listen to guys like Jason Silver who teach women how to be attractive to guys like him. They listen to guys like Derek Jackson and Matthew Hussey who advise them how to be attractive to men other than them. Why females don't take advice from the men they want to be with is beyond me. Then, of course, she finds more fancy, profound ways to describe promiscuity with self-discovery and exploring new things. Modern romance has evolved, Katarina. You were able to date 5 men at once. Girls are losing their virginities at younger and younger ages, and women are encouraged to sleep around. Things have evolved, Miss Lolita, but because men and women are unable to reprogram their biology, the dating market is a cesspool. Women lie, they cheat, they have children with multiple men, they get married 3-4 times, the list goes on and on. If a guy who could have pretty much any woman they want can't convince women that sleeping around isn't good for their long-term prospects in terms of relationships and marriage, then nothing will. Enjoy the decline, gentlemen. If you'd like to hear me discuss articles like this and see tomorrow's video today, go to patreon.com/Donovan Sharpe. The link is in the description.